Well, I am no fan of the royal family, as you all know. I'm very critical of the royals, but I do think in this particular case, none of us really know what went on. It's one person's word against another. What I would say is that not only Prince Harry resigned from the charity, but also the Prince of Lesotho, who was another patron. He resigned as well, and so did the entire trustee board of the charity in protest at the way in which Dr. Sophie was behaving. And it's only after that that she came out with these allegations.
So, well, she wouldn't come out with it before because they wouldn't have resigned. And if, you know, we've seen people behave act as a pack, and that's what kind of bullying can be, can't it? So, especially if she's saying it's misogyny, misogynoir, maybe she's saying against a black woman, even though the prince, the partner that the prince runs the charity or is with is also black. But she is saying that that's the problem. It's a bullying, and that's left over 500 people potentially out of work or in trouble, and the charity in trouble.
Well, if that is the case, why did all the trustees of the charity resign? The initial action was the trustees resigned because they weren't happy with Dr. Sophie's chairmanship. They did not like the way she was behaving, and it was only after they all resigned that Prince Harry and the Prince of Lesotho also resigned. So the initiation came not from Prince Harry, but from the trustees of the charity who felt that it was not being properly run under Dr. Sophie's stewardship. Now, I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong, but they can't all be part of a grand conspiracy, I don't think.
But it could not have been orchestrated, though, you know, because if you have power and privilege, it is, you know, easy to get people to kind of do what you want. Look, I don't know the story, but at the end of the day, this is one woman who's fighting, and what she was upset about was she felt that they were using the charity as part of the PR machine rather than actually helping the charity, because since they had been affiliated with the charity, initially it was successful, but then it seems that the Sussex brand has been somewhat toxic and the charity's not raising much money.
Well, that is what she is saying, but we also have to remember all the donors, or not all the donors, but I think most of the donors have quit because they're not happy, apparently, with Dr. Sophie either. Now, I don't know whether that is the reason, but that seems to be coinciding. Why have they suddenly stopped their donations in consequence of what the trustees said? Let's get back to the beginning. The trustees of the charity said they were not happy with Dr. Sophie and being in charge of the charity, that her behaviour and leadership was not up to the mark. Now, that's what they're saying. I can't pass judgment on that. I find it really difficult to believe that all these trustees would resign en masse unless there was a serious issue against the chairperson. And that the donors would not leave the charity and ditch their support if they also didn't have a problem. But as you say, it'll be up to an adjudication by the Charity Commission to determine the truth.
You know, you could say that, yeah, the GB presenter is black, so how could this be racist or have any biases in it? And I would challenge you to think about this and be real. Representation alone doesn't equate equal justice. Being black doesn't automatically mean you are advocating for equity. You need to understand that. You can be black and still uplift the same damaging stereotypes the tabloids used against Meghan Sussexes. You can be black and still protect the elite systems of power by attacking others who challenge them. Okay? Just think about that.
So would you apply that same kind of logic to the fact that, you know, there have been many people who've worked for Meghan Markle that have said things about her, that said that she's a bully and this, that and the other. You know, they can't all be, again, they can't all be wrong either, can they? Because there's lots of people who've said that, and a lot of people who've worked with her are all saying that. So, again, they can't be wrong then, can they?
Well,
all of them.
No one knows if Meghan Markle had any role in this at all. I mean, as far as I know, she's not involved.
Well, no,
whatsoever.
let's take it out from the charity. I'm saying that let's think of the bullying allegations that have come towards Meghan, not with regard to the charity, but for other things. My point is that if we're going to use that logic, then we have to believe a lot of the allegations or take on board the fact that many people, for not particularly this thing, but for other things, have said that Meghan's a bully.
Well, that may be the case, but again, we don't know. It's a case of one person says something, another person says something different. We just do not know. And I'm very reluctant to rush to judgment, either against Dr. Sophie, who may well have some valid points, and definitely not against Prince Harry and the trustees and the donors, who have left, apparently, allegedly, because they think Dr. Sophie has not behaved properly. Now,
yeah,
we just don't know. But I just think we have to be really careful until the full facts are established. And the real losers in this, of course, are the many people, African people, who will not be getting the support, the care, the treatment that they need. This is a great charity which does great work. And it's a tragedy that it's come to this, that the charity's future now is under threat.
Yeah, it is kind of sad, really. I would have liked to have seen them not resign. It feels like an orchestrated sort of resignation in stages, which would have been nicer for them to really talk it through, because ultimately, you are absolutely right, the only people they should really be thinking about are those people who they're meant to be helping. Peter Tatchell, thank you very much.
The trustees were very clear. They were the ones who made the decision or delivered the opinion that Dr. Sophie was not running the charity correctly.
Yeah, well,
they were the ones who made that decision. It was only later that Prince Harry and the Prince of Lesotho then decided to resign in solidarity.
Well, obviously they wanted her to go, didn't they, by the sounds of it, and she didn't, and she clearly wanted to stay to try and help with the over 500 people that work within that charity, and I think they could have come to a better agreement, especially, I'm not impressed with any of this at all.
There we go again. Megan Sussex. There we go again. She is Megan Sussex. She's the wife of Prince Harry. Okay, she's the Duchess. Don't forget that. But, you know, they choose to use Markle because they want to link her to that, you know, that family. Now, let's be clear. Megan is not a trustee for St. Tibale. Okay, she was not a board member. She did not run the finances. She didn't manage the staff. Yet somehow, when Dr. Sophie Chandoga faces criticism over financial mismanagement and the collapse of the board trust, the conversation is now being redirected towards Meghan. Now, the GB News presenter brought back that old, worn-out narrative that Meghan is a bully. Something tabloids pushed without evidence. To this day, they still haven't produced a single evidence, which even the palace staff later soften it or walk it back. The same palace staff, they walked it back. They could not produce a single evidence up until today, the 1st of April 2025, of how Meghan bullied staff. Why? Because it is a racialized distraction tactic. This statement, it's a racialized distraction tactic. When, for example, when a powerful Black woman speaks up, she's called aggressive. When a powerful mixed-race royal woman exists, she's called controlling or calculating. And now those tropes are being weaponized to shield another leader from accountability. The same very racialized have been weaponized to shield Dr. Sophie Chandoga from her accountability. Okay? So the facts are, Meghan attended a polo match to support her husband. Who wouldn't be going to a polo match and support her husband? I don't know which relationship you guys have. Seriously, I don't know. Who wouldn't go? Wouldn't go to support your partner? Really? Yeah. She allegedly asked Dr. Chandauka to stand beside her in a photo. That's not evidence that she bullied her. We can see the image. There she is. She's telling her where she needs to be. She looks confused. You could even tell from that image that she was never, uh, you know, a right candidate for this role. I don't know how she ended up in this position. It was the biggest mistake for them. It's something to review about how they put people like her into this very important position. She was never qualified to do it. Even with the photo, looking at it, I'm thinking, if I was managing this program as a chair, the first thing you think if you see Megan there is to go to her and ask her how she would like to, where she would stand, where she would like to be standing during the photo, because it would have been something that she thought about it beforehand. Internal management of an event. Who's going to be standing next to who during which photograph we want to have, who's going to be the first one to take photos for publication and so on. It's something that you manage internally. So it shouldn't be that hard that someone as famous as Serena Williams walked in and now you're confused about what you're going to do. What should I do? To me, that suggests to me that she was never competent. This is not even hard. It's not hard, people. It's not hard. You're telling me that just for her, she could not even think about who should be standing next to Harry. It's his wife. His wife will stand next to him. And who's going to be on the other side is the person that he was actually working against another team, the second team, his friends that they play with. And that friend will stand next to, maybe if he bought his wife, will stand next to him. That's what happened when you attend these big events like that. It's logic. You can see even with political parties, when they win election or win a seat, the wife will come up, kiss the husband, or and then there'll be a political coordinator or whoever person who is the mastermind around the winning. They'll be coming to stage, but it's always the partner. It's always the wife. Okay. So what is it that you people don't understand? That Meghan is the wife of Prince Harry. She's married to him and they have 2 kids. Okay. Seriously?
Things, as you saw it, started to go wrong. One of the incidents was the fundraising, the polo tournament, which is one of the ways in which Sentebale raised a lot of money. What happened?
We were so fortunate to have the opportunity to do a polo challenge in Miami last year in April. We had a very generous family that was happy for us to use their polo grounds at a material discount. And then about a month before the event was about to take place, Prince Harry called the team and said, I'm doing a Netflix show, and I would love to bring a camera crew so that I can include some footage in this show. And so the team called me and tell me, oh, Prince Harry's made this request, so we're doing the things. I said, you can't be doing the things without seeking consent from the property owners, the sponsors, all the guests. Nobody signed up into being on a Netflix show. And so we have this discussion about the need to talk to everybody. We come up with draft agreements. And of course, the venue owner says, this is now a commercial undertaking. So here are my terms. We couldn't afford it. So now we lost the venue. So we went to another venue. And we were lucky enough that through Prince Harry's connections, actually, and a friend of his, there was another family that was prepared to host. The show went on, but there was a lot of disruption, right? A lot of people were unhappy because we'd worked on this for months. At the actual, on the actual day, we had Prince Harry, which is always wonderful. The Duchess decided to attend, but she told us she wasn't attending. And she brought a friend, a very famous friend. So you can imagine all of the activity that goes with these additional amazing people. We're excited about it. We would have been really excited had we known ahead of time, but we didn't. And so the choreography went badly on stage because we had too many people on stage. The international press captured this, and there was a lot of talk about the Duchess and the choreography on stage and whether she should have been there and her treatment of me. Prince Harry asked me to issue some sort of a statement in support of the Duchess, and I said I wouldn't. Not because I didn't care about the Duchess, but because I knew what would happen if I did so, number one. And number two, because we cannot be an extension of the Sussex.
What would have
PR
happened
machine.
if you had simply just said, there's nothing wrong with what's happened, what the Duchess did?
Well, the Duchess has told Dr. Sophie Chandaoka to make a press release about her, and then she'll get even worse trolling. That's what would have happened.
So she refused to clarify the incident publicly, which only worsened media speculation. So the very same moment has now been manipulated into an old narrative with no relevancy to the core issue at Sintibale. So another thing you need to be aware, when a powerful mixed race royal woman exists, she's called controlling or calculating. This part refers to Meghan Sussex. Has been portrayed by British press and other press, international press, that are under this whole narrative, the same narrative and establishment, to call her manipulative, ambitious, too American, drama queen, accused of controlling Prince Harry, breaking the royal family, or pushing being a brand. She's got a brand as ever. Packaging is fantastic, phenomenal. But you know what? I suspect there'll be another royal in a couple of months who's going to have another jam. Has his raspberry, probably going to come up with a strawberry or citrus type of jam. And there will be nothing wrong with that. For Harry, they are independent. You don't pay anything for them, for anything they do. They work for themselves. They're not a taxpayer funded by British people. So they're like private, like anybody else, to live, who get up and go to work and try to make a living. So it's this whole campaign to try and to destroy Harry's reputation, to destroy his charitable company like Sintibale, and without even care to look at what impact this is going to have for children of Sintibale, for the community of Sintibale who are depending on this. This is why I'm so upset about this, that this has gone to that far, that you're willing to destroy something that saved lives in Lesotho just because you want to destroy Harry and Meghan. You want to have something to say that is negative, that's going to destroy them so that they don't get these children. Because that's the thing. Harry and Meghan is not going to suffer. They've got a lot of contracts. They're very sustainable themselves. The people who are going to suffer are the organization that Harry supports. These are the organizations that are going to be impacted, even by this behavior of Dr. Sophie Chandaoka. Okay? Instead of Meghan being referred as smart, independent, and principled, Meghan has always been subjected to subtle, overt, racialized tropes that suggest she's not sincere, she's not genuine or sincere, whatever word they may choose to use. She's using her platform for self-gain. She doesn't know her place. Portrayals of Megan Sussex, they mirror the historic stereotypes of cunning woman of color, framed as a social climber rather than a change maker. That is this portrayal of Megan Sussex means to many people, including myself, and I view them as such. Okay? Now, those tropes are being weaponized to shield the very same tropes here. They're being weaponized. You can see here, it's so good that I can be able to demonstrate this, how it can be done through these women, Megan, and then Dr. Sophie Chandauka, and then you have this presenter, TV presenter, who happened to be Black. How the very same tropes are being weaponized to shield Sophie from accountability, Dr. Chandauka, So, yeah. So this casting her as a victim to shield her from accountability of her own actions. Yeah. So by framing Megan as disrespectful or controlling, and Prince Harry as manipulative, she invites public sympathy while deflecting attention away from her own financial mismanagement, her mission drift at Sintibale, the mass resignation of trustees, the alleged damaging reports of whopping 600k British pounds consultants that was spent. Social justice language is being co-opted to avoid scrutiny. The same tool once used to marginalize Black and mixed race women are now being recycled by someone in power to silence critics. So this statement highlights how intersectional justice works in reverse. When marginalized identities are invoked to seek justice, but to avoid responsibility. And it is a betrayal of the very cause, anti-racism, feminism, Pan-Africanism that Dr. Chandauka claims to stand for. Just because the GB News presenter is Black, it doesn't mean that because she's Black, which is part of the marginalized group, doesn't make someone immune to reinforces the very systems that oppress that same group. In fact, when someone from within a community echoes these harmful narratives, it can give those narratives more perceived credibility. Just because I'm Black doesn't automatically mean I'll be advocating for equity. You can be Black and still uplift the very same damaging stereotypes that the tabloids use against Megan Sussex. You can be Black and still protect elite systems of power by attacking others who challenge them. Okay? So this is an example what the scholars and activists, sometimes they call it a gatekeeping within the community. This is what Dr. Chandauka and this GP presenter, and also they internalize oppression, internalize racism, internalize oppression. There's also the same, scholarly have examined this. This is very much research people. And also the third one would explain this phenomena is the proximity to power, where someone aligns with the dominant narratives to maintain personal or professional status. Okay? So it can look like, dismissing Megan Sussex as disrespectful while ignoring how she's been mistreated, taking Dr. Chanuge's claims at face value while ignoring the voices of long-serving African trustees, and also you could say the honorary title, the doctor honorary title that she got from Coventry by working on diversity. So this honorary title, that doctor, is not through academic, it's not through medicine. The fact that she's got this honorary title, it gives her that credibility. And the fact also that she went into that presentation and had Ian here, so a white dominant male, to kind of like give about her that credibility, that she had somehow some credibility to the story without even providing any evidence, if at all. That interview actually, in my opinion, it showed that she was never qualified to be a chair of that charity. So just because she is African and Zimbabwean national doesn't make her that she would actually understand the cultural sensitivity of people of Lesotho. It doesn't mean that way. That being black, that you would actually understand and treat something like that with cultural sensitivity it deserves, and act in a manner that is respectful to the community, that it respects the monarchy of Lesotho, the princess and everybody around that. It doesn't mean, that just because you got somehow you were born in Zimbabwe and raised in Zimbabwe and then went to the UK, then you failed in the UK and USA, then because you failed in so many ventures in the UK, then you can come to Africa and destroy that community. This is what I have problem with her behavior. And then is the lack of cultural sensitivities in how she managed this issue herself. And looking at the fact that the evidence that people cannot just resign, the entire trustee and board who've been serving, like she said, they've been there for about many years. And so, and the stuff that she talks about, the stuff that it shouldn't be an issue if you are good leadership, to manage the leadership. And the fact that they even told her to resign because they did not have any trust in her mission. The mission was drifted from, it did not demonstrate any growth. And that's why even the people, the donors who've been there for years have left because of her. They didn't leave because of Prince Harry. Even the financial statement, when you look at it, this is the organization that did really well under extraordinary difficult circumstances of the pandemic. They did really well. They managed to keep their organization together to still serve this community. But she comes along and with her diversity honorary degree from Coventry University and destroy this community. I wonder if the Coventry University is proud for this honorary degree. It's a question mark if they're proud of this, because this is the mess. This is the mess and the failure to understand that she's there not for herself, but for the community. She is not there for herself to represent the community. She does not embody the Ubuntu spirit. She does not. She doesn't have the Ubuntu. She doesn't have humility. I am because you are. She does not. She acts in the manner She may claim to be, but the action, the behavior doesn't suggest that she does. Because if she did, she wouldn't have even gone through this level. And thank you guys for listening to me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Until next time, see ya. Bye for now.